Cows is a psychological splatterpunk extreme horror book written by Matthew Stokoe. This book here is the most unique horror book I've read so far. But before I begin, I'm going to spoil this book if you have not read it. I'm going to be talking about some details. If you can read disgusting and disturbing books and be okay with it, I would highly recommend it. If you cannot handle, and I mean disgusting scenes, some gross scenes, I wouldn't recommend it. But honestly, I thought this book was great if you can get past those things. Now, when I first heard about this book, I thought this book was going to be about a disease that the cows have that eventually cause the people to do some things, or I thought it was going to focus around the slaughtering of cows, right? That's what I thought this book was going to be, but I'm glad it wasn't, because like I said, this is the most unique book I've read, or horror book I've read so far. Now let's begin with the writer, Matthew Stokoe. This is the first book I've ever read from him. I thought he was he is a phenomenal writer. Part of the reason why this book is so good is because his writing, he's very descriptive, a lot of details in this book. You can ultimately feel, taste, and smell everything that is happening in this novel, which makes it that much more disgusting and disturbing. Now, I thought this book here was funny, and there is a lot of things I did not expect from a book. For example, talking cows. You have talking cows in this book. You have the terrible mother, right, Hagbeast, who you get introduced early in the book, and you don't quite understand why she is the way she is, and the relationship between her and Steven. You have Lucy and her paranoia, right? I mean, everyone in this book is crazy. From Cripps to Steven to Hagbeast, everyone is. I think the only non-crazy person, I wouldn't say person, but dog. Dog was just a dog, a normal dog that just loved his owner. Of course, this being an extreme horror book, there are scenes that I will never forget. For example, the very first scene I can think of is when Steven and his mother eat his poop. Very descriptive because of the way Matthew Stokoe writes. You can almost smell and taste and feel how the process of eating your own poop is. And it's disgusting. It's really disgusting. He goes into detail. It got me thinking, did this guy eat poop himself? Probably not, but very descriptive again. Of course, you also have the scene where Lucy extracts her baby, right? And once again, we have a book that has a baby in it. I mean, I just finished reading Dead Inside. And for those who don't know, or who haven't read Dead Inside, that book revolves around babies a lot. And I mean a lot of babies. So I'm kind of tired of reading about babies in these horror books. This is the second one, but that scene there was just disturbing and I was cringing. And we got Hagbeast's death, right? She gets killed by Steven, brutally killed by Steven. Of course, she did deserve it. R.I.P. the dog. Dog was a loyal friend until the end, right? I felt everything that she was feeling as I was reading it. And of course, we can't forget that, again, there's poop involved. So this book here likes to talk about poop, right? Just a horrible death, right? Hagbeast died a horrible death. I did like the interaction. I found it interesting, the interaction between Steven and Lucy, right? They're trying to have a normal relationship. At least Steven is. He just wants her for a normal life. He wants to have a baby with her and just have a normal life. Now, Lucy is also crazy, and she thinks that there is this black dark matter inside her, which I didn't quite understand. It doesn't really explain how she became this way, but I did find it interesting how they kind of interacted. And of course, at the very end, you have Lucy who just kind of gives up and she dies. And speaking about the ending, I loved the ending. I thought it was perfect. I felt that it was well thought out, well planned. I specifically loved the scene where the house kind of breaks down. Steven just lost his girl and baby, and everything just kind of collapses on him. And speaking of collapses, the building collapsed. Firefighters are coming, people are coming to help, and he decides to escape. He runs away. It's here when you really see how crazy Steven is, because people are coming out, normal people are coming out to go to work, right? And he's seeing all these people come out and he's going crazy. Like, he is petrified of being outside during those hours. And you can really feel how petrified he is and how crazy he is. I mean, this guy was crazy. He eventually gets to the tunnels, the sewer, whatever it was, and comes back to his cow cult, which is another reason I forgot to mention. We're talking about a cult of cows. How more unique can you get from a horror book? Like, how strange can you get? A cult of cows? Are you kidding me? What is this, barnyard? But anyway, I thought this book was great. Of course, it's very disgusting, very disturbing. But I think the reason why I didn't find it to be as disturbing as many of these other people, I mean, I've seen other reviews and everyone's saying that this is the most horrific book they've read. No, it's not. I think Dead Inside was just the worst book ever, and that's the last book I've read. So I think that's what kind of allowed me to kind of read through this without thinking that it's the worst, right? I would even go as far as to say that Cows is one of my top 5 horror books so far. Of course, I've only had this much horror books to read, but yeah, I would definitely say this is top 5 horror book. But that is it. That was my review on Cows. I thought it was great. What do you guys think? Do you guys think it was a great book? Top 5? Was it disgusting? Did you finish reading it? R.I.P. dog. But that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time I finish a horror book.